Sometimes the emotion is real, but the identity we build around it is not.
Sometimes the answer is not another strategy. It's enough stillness to hear what is already happening inside you.
And sometimes the first piece of emotional fitness is simpler than we make it. Notice your breath before your reaction decides what happens next.
3 guests, 3 gym reps, 1 deeper lesson about creating the space to choose.
Welcome back to the Emotional Fitness Gym podcast. I'm Brent Lindsay.
And I'm Valerie Andrews.
This is a grounded conversation space about the inner world and how it shapes the way we live, lead, love, and relate. Today, we're returning to the format we used um, after our first 3 guest conversations: 3 guests, 3 practical gym reps, and 1 deeper integration that turns the episode into something you can actually practice.
And today we're reflecting on episode 9 with Miranda Packer, episode 10 with Louise Cramond, and episode 11 with Laura Gutiérrez. Each conversation went somewhere different: workplace culture, life transitions, identity, breath, and nervous system regulation. But when we placed the 3 reps together side by side, a very clear sequence appeared.
The sequence is name what is happening without becoming it, and pause long enough to meet yourself, and breathe consciously enough to choose your next response.
Or even more simply, name it, pause, and breathe.
And the deeper lesson is that space creates capacity. When there is no space, the emotions become the identity. Busyness becomes avoidance. The body moves straight into reaction. When there is space, we have more perspective, more choice, and a better chance of behaving in alignment with our values.
We'll revisit with each guest what they all brought in this episode, connect each rep to one of the emotional fitness formula pillars, and then guide you through a short combined practice you can use at work, at home, in a difficult conversation, or anytime you feel pulled away from yourself.
And a brief safety note: this is education, coaching, conversation, not therapy or medical advice. Keep any breathing practice gentle and comfortable. If you feel dizzy, distressed, or unwell, stop and return to normal breathing. If something deeper is activated, reach out to a qualified practitioner or trusted support. So let's start with Miranda Packer. Miranda's episode was grounded in leadership, values, behavior, and team capacity. Her central message was that values cannot remain attractive words on a wall. They're not just the plaque that we stick there. They have to become observable behaviors, something people can see, they can feel and understand and repeat.
And I liked how practical that became. It wasn't just we value respect or we value care. The question was, what does respect look like when someone arrives at a client site? What does care sound like in a difficult conversation? Or how do people know what the value asks them to do?
Exactly. Because values without behavior create confusion. Leaders think they communicate something, but the team is left translating it through their own assumptions. Miranda brought in extended disc as a way to understand why people respond differently to change, and why leaders need behavioral flexibility if they want change to land.
Yeah, and that's so important. And she also spoke about compassion, not soft leadership, informed leadership, understanding that one person may need movement and autonomy, and another may need time and relational safety. And then another may need the clarity, the detail, and the evidence to support whatever it is they're doing.
That matters to me because As a high D behavioral style, my old reflex was speed. I could see the outcome, so I expected everyone else to move at the same pace. But speed without awareness can leak threat into the room, and leaders think they are creating momentum. Other people experience pressure, dismissal, or uncertainty.
And I love how Miranda kept bringing it back to perspective, the meaning we make of behavior, the story we tell ourselves about the person, and whether we stay curious long enough to see something else.
Then she gave one of the simplest language shifts we've had on the podcast. And instead of saying, I'm frustrated, say, a part of me is feeling frustrated.
Yeah, and that one word part creates space.
Mm.
Instead of I'm frustrated makes the state sound complete and absolute. It says this emotion is all about me. A part of me is feeling frustrated tells the truth without making the emotion your whole identity.
Yeah. And that is why I connect with Miranda's rep. Primarily to the identity pillar. Identity is not only our job type. Our role or the story or who we think we are. It also appears in those rapid I am statements. I am angry. I am failing. I am overwhelmed. I am not respected. I am insert anything here. The moment we fuse the state with the self, the emotions options narrow. The meaning making menu is very slim.
Yeah, for sure. And whereas when we can say a part of me is anxious, there is room for another part that is steady. And when you say a part of me is hurt, there may also be a part that understands.
Mm.
And another example was a part of me wants to react. There may be another part that wants connection, truth, or repair.
It is not denying the emotion that is important. This is not positive thinking. It is accurate language. The frustration is present, but it is not the whole territory, the whole of the opportunities of who you are.
Yeah, and that's so true. And it improves connection because you can communicate the state without projecting it. There's a big difference between you make me so angry and a part of me is feeling angry. And I want to understand what happened before I respond.
Yeah, the first sentence turns the other person into the cause and the target. And the second sentence takes responsibility for the internal state and keeps the relationship available.
Yeah. And this also links to psychological safety. People do not need leaders, partners, or parents who never feel frustrated. They just need people who can feel frustration without making everything else carry it.
This is emotional fitness, not the absence of emotion, the ability to hold it, name it, and remain responsible for the behavior that follows.
And Miranda's gym rep, the part of me reframe. Think of one emotional sentence you have used recently. Maybe I'm overwhelmed, or I'm disappointed, or I'm angry, or I'm not good enough.
Now add 5 words. A part of me is feeling. A part of me is feeling overwhelmed. A part of me is feeling disappointed. A part of me is feeling angry.
And then ask, what is another part of me feeling, needing, or valuing right now?
And that is the rep. It shifts identity and opens perspective and creates enough internal room for a deliberate response.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And I loved how we then moved through to Louise Cramond's conversation that brought us into change, grief, menopause, identity, love, and the seasons of life where a person can say, I don't feel like myself anymore.
Her work carries a strong message. Women do not need fixing. They understand, they need understanding, support, and tools they may never have been taught. Louise spoke about menopause not simply as a decline, but as transformation, a second bloom where identity and values can reorganize.
Yeah. And she challenged the people she sorry, and she challenged the people around women as well. Her message to men, families, and workplaces was not to wait for the old version of the woman to return. It was to grow with her, it was to rise with her and learn to meet the person who is emerging.
That is a powerful life stage conversation right there. We often make the challenging season means something is wrong. We try to force the old pace, old identity, or old priorities to keep working. But a life stage is not necessarily a problem to solve. Sometimes it's a transition to recognize and move through consciously.
Yeah, and Louise's own story of grief, relationship change, raising children, spiritual development, and rebuilding. What came through was not a neat formula. It was an ability to keep returning to self and to love through seasons that could not be controlled.
And then she gave us her rep, pause for peace.
Yeah, and her point was that awareness cannot emerge when every part of the day is filled. People often say, I need to become more self aware, while living at a pace that leaves no room to feel, hear, or notice anything.
So before awareness comes, the pause, not a dramatic retreat, not a week in silence. Louise made it very real. First thing in the morning, sometimes in the middle of the day, and again at night, even that 10 minutes, even closing the bathroom door, saying, "Give me a minute."
Yeah, and in this minute, you can close your eyes if it is safe. Notice the breath coming in and the breath going out. Let the attention move out of the racing mind and back into the body.
I connect Louise's rep primary to like the life stages pillar, right? Because a pause allows you to stop imposing an expired identity on the season you're actually in. And you cannot hear with the transition it's asking of you while you're busy trying to outrun it.
Yeah, so true. So true. And it also brings compassion. The pause lets you ask, what is changing? What am I grieving? What no longer fits? What needs care rather than judgment? And what is trying to emerge?
They're so good. This- For leaders, this means or matters because busyness can become a socially rewarded form of disconnection. You can look productive while becoming less available to your body, your family, your team, and your own truth.
Yeah, so true. And for health professionals and carers, it can be the same. You hold everything else together and postpone yourself until later. But later keeps moving. A pause is not selfish. It is one of the ways you stop disappearing inside service.
And this is where Louisa's rep builds connection. You cannot offer presence from a system that never stops. You may still be physically in the room, but if your attention is always in the next task, the other person feels the absence.
Yeah. And the pause is where you meet yourself before you meet the next demand. That changes how you listen. It changes the tone of a conversation. And it also changes whether your boundary comes out as resentment or clarity.
And the common misunderstanding is that pausing means falling behind. The reframe is that pausing helps you stop taking the wrong self into everything that comes next.
Yeah, that's true. And Louisa's gym rep, pause for peace. Choose 3 pause points in the day: morning, the the middle of the day, and the evening.
And at each point, stop for between 1 and 10 minutes. Make the practice fit real life. The point is not duration, the point is deliberate stillness.
Yeah. Notice the breath, notice the body, and ask what is present, what needs care, and what is this season asking me to stop forcing right now?
That is the rep. You are creating the space in which awareness and self trust can return. Now, Laura Gutiérrez brought the third piece, the breath, as a bridge back to self. Her work sits in the intersection of emotional fitness, breath work, and behavioral awareness, sound and vibrational healing, and a more compassionate relationship with who you are.
And I love how Laura spoke openly about anxiety and panic attacks and how her search for another way led her through years of healing and personal development. And what stood out was that she had many mindset tools, but the breath became the missing link between the mind, the body, the emotions, and the spirit.
She decided emotional fitness, she described emotional fitness through our relationship with uncertainty. Under uncertainty, the breath often changes before we consciously understand what's happening. It becomes faster, shallow, held, or lifted into the shoulders. The body starts preparing for the threat.
Yeah, yeah. And her central practice was not to force a complicated technique, it was breath awareness. So, where is your breath right now?
That question returns agency. The breath is usually automatic, but it can also become conscious. When you notice it, you gain a doorway into the state you are in.
Yeah. And Laura also clarified something important. A deep breath does not necessarily mean pulling in a huge amount of air. It can mean breathing lower and more gently, allowing the diaphragm and rib cage to move, including the front, sides, and back of the torso as well.
Yeah, that matters because just breathe can become another vague instruction. Her rep is more precise. Make the breath conscious. Notice where it is fast or slow, high or low, held or moving, and breathe through the nose where comfortable, and let the movement be gentle rather than dramatic.
Yeah. And I connect Laura's rep primarily to emotional flexibility. Flexibility is the ability to stay available to reality without being trapped in one reaction. So conscious breath doesn't remove the difficult situation. It helps you stay centered enough to navigate it.
That is a distinction I want to underline. Regulation is not control of the outside world. Your children may still be noisy, the team problems may still exist, the conversation may still be uncomfortable, and emotional fitness means the chaos outside does not automatically become the chaos in your behavior.
Yeah, and once the body is more settled, you have access to the other pillars. You can remember your values. You can hear what another person is saying. You can recognize the identity reflex, and you can see more than one possible meaning.
Yeah, Lara also mentioned journaling as a way to process after breathing. That is a useful extension. Breathe first, then write. We can all do that. Regulate enough to hear yourself. I love that. Then give the thoughts somewhere to go.
Yeah, and I loved her wider message was that there's nothing inherently wrong with you. You're learning a relationship with yourself. You're building tools, willingness, and capacity one day at a time.
And that is why breath is not a small thing. It is the point where awareness becomes embodied and you can understand that every framework in the world, but in the live moment, the body still needs a way to return back to safety.
Yeah. So, Laura's gym rep for 30 seconds, do not change the breath, just notice it. Where is it moving? Is it high in the chest, low in the body, fast, held, or easy?
Then take 4 gentle breaths through the nose. I- In that is comfortable. Don't overextend yourself. Let the lower ribs and the abdominal move without forcing that large inhale, and allow the exhale to be unhurried.
And then you can ask, what changed when I brought awareness to the breath?
That is the rep, not perfect breathing, conscious breathing, enough to return choice to the moment. Now, let's place these 3 reps together because this is where the deeper lesson becomes practical.
Yeah. So, Miranda gives us space in language, Louise gives us space in time, and Laura gives us space in the body.
And Miranda, a part of me is feeling this. Louise, pause for peace. And Laura, where is my breath right now?
So, one helps you stop becoming the emotion, one helps you stop outrunning yourself, and one helps you stop letting the nervous system make the whole decision. Don't
And
laugh.
yeah, and that all that matters, right? The
Yeah.
first name the state accurately, then create enough stillness to stay with it, then use the breath to help the body remain present, and from there choose the value or behavior you want to embody.
Yeah. And this is how the 3 reps support the growth. So, growth is not only gaining a new insight, it's becoming able to stay with yourself when the old pattern is activated.
Yeah, it supports connection because you stop asking the other person to regulate what you have not yet noticed. You can say, a part of me is defensive. I need a moment to settle. I want to come back and have this conversation well.
And that sentence alone protects the truth and relationship at the same time because you're not pretending to be calm. You're not abandoning the conversation. You're taking responsibility for the state you are bringing into it at the time.
And it builds capacity because every repetition teaches you that discomfort does not have to become collapse, and control or avoidance or an attack. You can remain present and choose.
Yeah. And what's really also noticeable here is this is also where values and perspective can come back in. The 3 reps create the space, values tell you what to do with the space, and perspective helps you see what else could be true.
For example, a colleague misses a deadline. The immediate identity statement is, I'm furious. Miranda's rep becomes, a part of me is feeling furious.
Yeah, and Louisa's rep creates a pause before the message is sent. So even 2 minutes of stillness changes that field alone.
Yeah, Lara's rep brings attention to the breath. Perhaps it is held high and fast. You let it become conscious and gentle.
So then values enter the clarity, the respect, accountability, and care. Perspective enters perhaps the missed deadline is still unacceptable, but it may not mean disrespect. And now the response can address the behavior without attacking the person's worth.
That is self leadership, not being passive, not avoiding standards, bringing enough emotional capacity that the standard can be held without unnecessary threat.
Yeah. And at home, the same sequence might sound like a part of me is overwhelmed. I need 10 minutes to pause and settle. I'm going to breathe. Then I want to come back because connection matters to me.
And in a life transition, a part of me is frightened because the old version of me is changing. I am going to stop forcing an answer today. I am going to pause and breathe and listen to what this stage is asking me to become.
So that is why these three guests fit well together. Miranda helped us change the relationship with the state. Louise helps us honor the transition, and Laura helped us regulate the body that has to carry the change. So let's practice the three reps together. If you're driving or operating anything, keep your eyes open and stay focused on what you're doing. You can simply listen.
So important. So now let's bring to the mind one situation that has emotional charge, but in a safe way and safe enough to reflect on now. Not the biggest issue in your life, something ordinary, a conversation, a delay, a decision, a moment in time of frustration.
So the first rep can name it without becoming it. Complete the sentence. A part of me is feeling.
And do not argue with the answer. Do not fix it. Just name it accurately.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said don't argue with the answer because sometimes we overthink things and give ourselves a hard time in that moment also. So it's about allowing whatever it is that came up. And now you can ask, what is another part of me feeling, needing, or valuing right now?
Absolutely. Because that's just more of our I am meant statements, right? And then
Yeah.
now the second rep, pause for peace. Let there be a moment where nothing has to be solved.
Yeah. Notice the contact of your feet, your body against the chair, or your hands resting where they are. Let your shoulders droop if they want to, also.
And then ask, what is this moment or this life stage asking me to stop forcing?
And the third rep is make the breath conscious. Where is your breath right now? Is it high? Is it low? Is it fast? Is it held? Is it shallow or quite easy right now?
Without forcing, take a gentle breath through the nose, if comfortable, and then let the lower ribs and abdomen move. Allow the unhurried exhale.
And repeat that gently 3 more times.
And then now ask one final question. What response would align with my values and protect connection, including my connection with myself?
As mentioned earlier, you do not need the perfect answer. Choose the smallest, honest next step. Wait before sending the message. Ask a clarifying question. State a boundary. Request support. Take a walk. Write it down. Or return to the conversation when you can be present.
That is the combined rep. Name it, pause, breathe, and then choose. For the next 7 days, practice the full sequence once per day. It should take between 1 and 5 minutes.
Yeah. So remember, step one, a part of me is feeling. Step two, pause without fixing. And step three, notice and gently regulate the breath. And finally, step four, choose one values aligned action.
You can use it after a meeting, before you enter the house, when you wake up during the night, before a difficult conversation, or the moment you notice yourself speeding up, shutting down, pleasing, or controlling.
Yeah. So, in amongst this, there's three reflection questions you could take with you. One is, which emotion do I most often turn into an identity?
And two, where has constant busyness stopped me from hearing what this season of life is asking of me?
And question three, what happens to my choices when I make the breath conscious before I respond?
So here's a recap. Takeaway 1. An emotion is present, but it is not the whole of who you are.
So, takeaway 2, awareness needs space. Pausing is not falling behind, it is how you stop abandoning yourself inside the pace of life.
And takeaway 3, conscious breath helps turn regulation from an idea into a lived capacity in the moment that matters.
And the micro action is simple. Once today, use the sentence, part of me is feeling. Then pause for 60 seconds, notice the breath, and choose one behavior that reflects your values.
Miranda Packer reminded us that behavior becomes more responsible when we stop confusing a temporary state with identity.
Yeah, I love that. And Louise Cramond remind us that change is not always evidence that something is wrong. Sometimes we need enough stillness to hear the person and the life stage we're emerging into.
And Lara reminded us that the breath is the direct pathway back into awareness, agency, and a more flexible response to uncertainty.
So, together, their message is not to push harder. C- It's about creating space from the emotion, space in the day, and space in the body.
Because space creates capacity, and capacity changes how we grow, connect, and lead.
So, what I suggest is you go back and listen to episodes 9, 10, and 11 for the full conversations because each guest brings much more than the reps we've highlighted today.
And if this episode has helped you feel more aware and more capable, follow the show and share it with someone who values presence over performance.
And remember, you're not trying to become perfect, you're training the ability to return.
One rep at a time.
We'll see you in the gym.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.